And I believe you know and understand the salient issues in each and every region.
Yes.
We'll now open up to members to fill the questions. Please, like I said, answer questions clearly, precisely, without meandering around and skirting around the issues. I'll start with the Honorable Deputy Speaker.
I'd like to ask you, Mr. Honorable Mbaki, about CBC. There's been complaints across the country that it's very expensive for parents and children also in rural schools and marginalized areas. And that the teachers, there's also been complaints that teachers were ill-prepared to roll out and implement the CBC program. And appreciating that we already have a task force to review and map out a way forward. As Cabinet Secretary nominee for Education, what are your thoughts about it? What strategies are you going to put in place to ensure that at the end of the day we'll have high quality education for our children? Thank you.
Ezekiel will take batches of 4 questions in a row. Then you can be able to respond. So you just note the questions. Kimani Chungwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Ask it your DO question.
Yes, as I indicated, he was a very diligent DO. I was very young, only in class 3 when he served as DO in Kikuyu. But he was also a good friend to my father. And it's indeed true. He was instrumental in the construction of Moi House Kamango, and we appreciate. But CS nominee Honorable Machogu, I don't repeat what the Honorable Sholei has asked about the working party for review of the many things in the education sector, including the CBC to university education. But I really want to dwell on university education, because Honorable Machogu, you are aware that government is paying for government-sponsored students in private universities. But there exists a cartel in the Ministry of Education and private university players that influences how KUPS, the Kenya Colleges and Universities Placement Services, places students in either public or private universities. I'm sure by now you're aware that a number of our public universities, including premier institutions like the University of Nairobi, are financially they're on their deathbed. Moi University is almost collapsing. Egerton University is in ICU. If you go to Murang'a University, it has no students. Karatina University is on the verge of collapsing. Anywhere, Bondo University, even Kisii University in your own county, and these are public institutions. But they're collapsing at a time when government is spending billions of shillings sponsoring students in private universities. I would want to hear what you plan to do to dismantle the cartels that influence the placement of students in a very lopsided way. If you check your records at the ministry, maybe if approved and you settle in, you realize one private university in the last 1 year has more students placed to them than Kenyatta and Nairobi University combined as a private university. You also realize maybe when you settle down, there was a program that was called the Teacher Professional Development Program that trains teachers. Teachers are asked to pay a sum of 6,000 shillings, and I've seen there was a petition in the last parliament where teachers were appealing that this be opened up to more universities so that teachers are able to access this program in universities that are nearer to them, and in many areas, public universities. But again, you realize that program was designed by those cartels in the ministry working together again with people in private universities to make sure that one university, again, the way the program was designed was to basically favor one private university at the expense of public universities and at a great cost to teachers. because teachers are being asked to pay, and the petition, I think, was asking the government to help them with part of the 6,000 shillings, and they pay part of it and also open it up to other public universities. You can imagine many teachers in this country were trained by, through the teachers who taught us, UON and Kenyatta University. They are never included in this program. I would also want to hear your views on how you will deal with those. Lastly, Honorable Machogu, is on the fair allocation of resources in the Ministry of Education, especially infrastructure money that is appropriated by this House to help build infrastructure. You know, the last 2 years, the Ministry of Education has allocated resources towards the construction of classrooms. I would invite you to visit a school by the name Karai Day Secondary School in my constituency, or 5 minutes from here, the new HGM Secondary, where I built classrooms, about 15 classrooms and laboratories and offices at a cost of about 30 million shillings. The ministry has come and built one classroom at a cost of over 2 million shillings. The 15 classrooms are all not in use, and the ministry is building a new classroom apparently for the, what is it called, the new junior secondary school. What are you going to do to ensure that you rationalize how the Ministry of Education, because from the budget committee I can tell you this is a ministry that gobbles up the largest portion of our budget, but how these resources end up being used is either a duplication of what members of parliament are doing using CDF. They have no reference to members of parliament. You will go and find a classroom being built at a cost double what the member of parliament is doing at the constituency level. And when we raised the issue here, you remember the ministry was adamant that those resources cannot go to CDF or through the members of parliament. And it is the corruption cartels that persist in the ministry. I would really want to hear what you intend to do to deal with those cartels that exist in the Ministry of Education, including either recovery of the monies that were paid through the Ruaraka land theft, which happened at the Ministry of Education to the tune of almost 1.5 billion shillings. That was public money paying for a public school's land. I would want to hear, because it still exists as an audit query, since Parliament never approved it, what you would intend to do, and especially considering that the minister then hailed from your neighboring county of Nyamira. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I'll be very brief. Honorable Machogu, I had wanted to ask some question here, but from the history you've given us, it would appear that you are only deputy PC in Coast. Because during my research on you, I had come across a Mr. Machogu, who was a DC in Mombasa in 2003, who was charged in an anti-corruption court with the offense of misleading a tender board to award a 166 million road contract. Could that have been you?
That is me.
Ah, good. Very good. Yes, so if it was you, then we want to help us understand how the matter ended, or the status of the matter as we speak.
What did you say was the charge?
The charge was misleading a tender board to award a shillings 166 million road contract in 2003.
Okay.
Then my research didn't mislead me. Two is the issue of teachers' employment. You know, during the campaigns, my coalition, the Azimio, had undertaken, upon assuming the reins of power, to employ all trained teachers who are unemployed. And a similar, more or less similar commitment. Indeed, it did sign a contract with or some kind of agreement with the teachers that it would also employ these unemployed teachers but are trained. So my question is, how soon, if and when you get lucky to be approved by Parliament, how soon should you expect a supplementary budget from you to enable you employ all these unemployed but trained teachers and to empower TSC to undertake its mandate effectively. Last is the issue of Egerton University specifically. That university is in a sorry state. The lecturers have been on strike now for I don't know how many years, since 20 whatever, and they have been on half pay since the middle of 2020. What urgent measures will you be taking to salvage that university, which is very critical for our national development? Thank you.
Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, you know, this country, we pride ourselves in saying that we have free primary education, and I've also heard of free secondary education. But the reality is that parents have to keep paying for teachers, they pay for examinations, they pay for activities. They are constantly going into their pockets to make payments. And you know, this is one of the reasons why a lot of our children are constantly on the roads, going back home to pick money so that they can attend classes, which is against the Basic Education Act. Now, I think in the 11th Parliament, when C.S. Matiang'i was the Minister for Education, I had asked a question concerning that, and the Minister indicated that no one is supposed to be, no principal, no head teacher is supposed to charge any levies without approval from the office of the minister. Now we know, all of us, that this continues happening all over the country. How are you going to solve this problem once and for all, so that our children can remain in school from January to December?
Ezekiel, you can, Owen, so that I finish with your side.
Okay. Ezekiel, I have two very short questions. One, there are a lot of secondary schools that have been built using CDF. A lot of them, probably you, when you're MP in your area, you built new ones. But the ministry, especially during Magoha's time, he refused to register secondary schools. And those schools are there. Kids are gone through Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, but they have to do exams in another school because that school has not been registered, because there is a moratorium that you cannot register new schools. Yet population in this country keeps on increasing. New kids want to reduce distance from home to school, but the ministry has been an impediment towards registration of new schools. What are you going to do about that? And secondly, I want to also talk about universities just a little bit. Usually universities receive expenditure estimates from the budget, and they are allocated 100 million, but the ministry only ends up sending 30 million to that university. The rest of the money, we do not know where the money is going. Universities are collapsing in this country. As you take leadership in that ministry, I hope you will not be that one who only goes to primary schools, a professor who goes to primary schools and supervises primary schools and leaves universities to die. What are you going to do to give the universities in this country a new face, a new energy, and a new eager? And then lastly, on the issue of the sweeping laws, which were actually withdrawn at Parliament, where minister wants to appoint vice chancellors, he wants to be in charge of all universities in this country. Do you still want to bring these laws, or will you withdraw them? Will you give vice chancellors an opportunity to manage universities without interference, and stop sending girlfriends to be members of council of universities? Thank you.
Yes, you can.